Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to another episode of the Homer and the Hater Show. I'm Jeff Hartman, the Homer and the editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. With me, as always, is the hater, Lance Williams. I'm sorry, that side if you're watching live on YouTube. Lance, what's going on?
I'm doing awesome. I just wanted to wear my little beanie with the little tassel on top. I'm feeling invigorated. I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling right with the world. Although everything is going on, I'm still feeling right. That's why I'm throwing jabs in the screen. Yes. Jab, straight right hand. Yes.
I think I speak for both of us when I say we hope everyone's staying safe. We hope everyone's following the appropriate guidelines set forth by your local cities, counties, state, depending on where you live, whatever you're doing. Yeah. Just let's be safe. Pretty much we'll sum it up that way.
I got a tip on how you can do that.
What's
if
that?
If you don't shower, you will just naturally create social distancing. So just don't shower, have bad BO, and you will just create social distancing, even within your house. So don't shower. And then, everything will be okay. Yeah. It'll kill the virus. It'll kill your social interaction. It might ruin your reputation, but, just don't shower and you'll be golden.
Absolutely. So this has been a busy, exactly. This has been a busy week for the Steelers. It started off sluggish. We already talked about how Lance hated their first signing, which was Derek Watt. If you haven't checked out on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com yet, we put up our grades. Brian Anthony Davis, who is a podcaster on our platform, he was the author of that article. He got a lot of different people's perspective, grades, comments. Obviously, we were a part of that. Check that out for our grades. And we're going to be debuting those grades one day at a time starting tomorrow. So tomorrow, I believe, is the Eric Ebron grade. But the funny thing is, Lance, before we get into the headline of this show, you did your show on Friday. I was supposed to join you. Things didn't work out in terms of time. I listened to it. You seem to be really excited about the Ebron signing. You really like the Wisniewski signing. My question wasn't about either of those players. If you got a chance to take a look at Chris Wormley, because he's the one I don't know much about, and I didn't know if you had a chance to watch film of him yet.
I have not, and that thanks, Jeff, for that assignment. I'm going to go ahead and do that today. I watched a lot of Wisniewski. I watched the Super Bowl. I watched all the playoff games that Wisniewski played in. He played in the Super Bowl, AFC Championship, the divisional round, and I watched.
Were you impressed? Game. Were you impressed?
Oh yeah. You want to tease that, or you want me to just give it to you right now?
I'm sure, whatever.
Yeah, I think one thing that stood out. I wrote a couple of things that he's a great pass blocker. The other thing that stood out to me is he was playing left guard for Kansas City, so it's not as if he would have to switch sides. He'll slot right in to be the left guard. Very assignment sound. Really good in pass protection. Handled stunts and twists very well. Had a little bit of athleticism, so he could pull block. He could run the counter play. They could run it both sides with the Castro, possibly, and Wisniewski. I love the fact that he's a vet and a winner, having played in big games and big moments in under pressure situations because he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. Also, I saw that he can get to the second level if they run inside zone. One thing that stood out, not super athletic, not overly physical, but he looked like a pretty good player, good technician for the amount that they've invested in the signing. His guarantees are only about $875K for this year. I mean, it's a very solid signing. I don't know if he'll be as good as Hardings, because Hardings, like you talked about in previous shows, played quite a few years for the Steelers. And I think Hardings was a multiple Pro Bowler. Hardings was a very good player for the Steelers. Him and Faneca were very good as a combination of the interior of the Steelers offensive line. But I'm very impressed by the Wisniewski signing. I think the Wisniewski signing will be that Moelde Moore kind of diamond in the rough signing that Steeler fans might minimize, but that'll be very important. I really like that signing. And in watching him in those games, he's going to be a starter. He's going to start at the left guard position because he's a vet. I mean, he played very well in that playoff stretch. And if they have a starter better than Wisniewski at that left guard position, then Steeler fans would be very happy. So I think he's going to slot right in and be that starter.
My question is, in your opinion, Is he an upgrade over Foster, Ramon Foster, who recently retired?
Yes, I think he is. I think he's an upgrade over Foster. Even if it's a slight upgrade, they're not going to lose anything with Wisniewski playing left guard. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, this guy played 3 games in the playoffs last year for the Super Bowl champion. And you want to know why Patrick Mahomes can do all that crazy Patrick Mahomes stuff? The guy's got pass protection. I mean, he's got time for that stuff to develop behind the secondary where he can extend plays. He's a solid player. You know, he is a very solid player. I was really impressed by his pass protection and how they worked as an offensive line in tandem when people were running twists and line games against him. I think they got a solid player.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And I think that what you mentioned on your show on Friday, which go and check that out, is I said it episode, is by picking him up, you're getting the veteran that we had talked about on this show and on Wednesday's show, The Standard is a Standard. The veteran that is savvy, that still has a few years left in his career, that is still able to play at a high level, and it doesn't make you have to change your entire line around. It doesn't force Matt Filer to left guard. And I know there were people that commented on YouTube and commented on the website stating that Filer is more suited for guard. That's fine, but he played great at right tackle. So why would you not, that doesn't make sense. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. So we'll see about that. Now, let's talk about the headline here. And that is, and I do want to get your opinions on Ebron in a second, but let's start here. The signings that they made, the 4 signings, that's Watt, Ebron, Wisniewski, and then Wormley via trade. How do you think those 4 players, those 4 positions that they targeted, impacts their approach to the upcoming 2020 NFL draft?
I think it opens it up. I think it enables them to really go after best player available, which in my opinion is the best approach, because in the National Football League, you're going to need depth at every position. Guys are going to get hurt. It's a war of attrition at the end of the day. And when you add an extra game, that's even further emphasized that it's all about keeping guys healthy and having adequate depth. So I think right now, I think their draft board is wide open. I think they could go any particular direction in the second round because they don't have to address needs. And I think the Steelers do it in the right way. I think the best approach, I've been watching football for years. I think the best approach is you address needs in free agency because you specifically have game tape and material to evaluate players, and you can effectively slot guys into what you do based on how they perform. And so I think you address needs via free agency, but I think you build the foundation and the core of your football team through the draft. And so I think now they can go best player available because they've penciled in certain guys and veterans in some obvious need positions.
Let me ask you a systemic question, and it's about BPA, best player available. That's what it stands for. When it comes to best player available and that approach to the NFL draft, regardless of whether you're the Steelers, if you were the general manager, when you say BPA, are you saying I'm taking the best player available no matter what? Or are you saying, look, here are the positions that we really need to kind of target, and we're going to take the best player out of that pool? You understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I think that has to factor into how you grade the player, and then you draft to your board. So let's say your obvious need, is quarterback. Let's say it's quarterback, or let's say it's at the time. Let's say it was left guard. And so when you're evaluating your players based on need, maybe you give a player an extra half point or a half point based on need. So you might grade the player out at an 85. You might grade out 2 players at an 85. But, one player is, let's say, a left tackle. And you've got Villanueva slotted in, and you've got Chuck Secora and you have Zach Banner. And so maybe you give that extra half point or that point to the position group that you have a greater need for, which would have been, in that case, left guard. So that player's grade goes to an 86 as opposed to an 85. Then you draft the player with the 86. So I think the grade that you give a player, or the score, so to speak, should factor in need. So you build need into your approach in terms of how you build your draft board.
Okay, so I guess for me, I think about a scenario where the first round is over second round is starting, and the Steelers are looking at their overall top players, and several are off the board, obviously. But then all of a sudden, it's getting like 2 or 3 picks away, and the best player that they have available is not really at a position of need. And so you're asking yourself, so let's say, what position would you say the Steelers are not necessarily needing right now?
Tight end.
Okay.
After you bring in, and I'm going to say it this way because my dad was just killing me yesterday because I called Eric Enron. So
you said Enron. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going back.
I said Eric. I called him Eric Enron. So that'll just be the show joke. You'll say his name correct. I'll continue to say Enron. So let's just say, so now that they have Enron and you have Vance McDonald, right? There's not a need to go out and get a tight end in the second round. So, right. And so if you do it the way I'm thinking, if you give a score to need and you put that into your assessment, then hopefully if you had 2 players close, whatever you assign, whatever level of points you assign to need could hopefully bump that player above a tight end. However, though, who's to say that the best player in the draft when you draft in the second round isn't like the next coming of Rob Gronkowski? Why would you not take that guy?
Yeah.
Why would you not take that guy? Because you then could probably trade Vance McDonald. I mean, you just need good football players and a good coach's job. As you know, being an outstanding lacrosse coach for years, you just got to figure out how to utilize people. That's the coach's job. Get enough players. Because maybe you draft that tight end and you take a wide receiver off the field and you run a 3 tight end set and you kill people that way. Leave that up to the coaches and just draft good football players.
Yeah, so this to me, the free agent acquisitions that were made or the trade that happened with the Ravens, which by the way, only the second time that's ever happened since 1998. That's a trade between the Ravens and the Steelers. So doesn't happen often. But they wanted to dump Wormley's $2 million salary, and the Pittsburgh Steelers picked that up. Now, with all that said, I want to make it clear that, you look at this makes it very exciting for me, the draft, because now that it's not okay, who's the best cornerback on the board? Who are they going to take? It is literally like you said, who's the best player available? And I think that the moves that they made this week really, really open things up. So fans should be excited. No, they don't have a ton of draft picks. They still don't have a first-round pick, and that's okay. They should have the freedom to make some moves, maybe trade up if they have to, but to make some moves and to really see what they can do in terms of the upcoming draft. And we'll talk about that a lot as it approaches. That's at the end of April. All accounts that I've seen state that the NFL draft is going to continue to go off without a hitch in terms of date, time. But location, although it's going to be in Vegas, there's not going to be any fans there. Players aren't going to be there. Representatives of the team aren't going to be there. Maybe 1 or 2. I don't know how they're going to. Basically, all the fan stuff's gone. But the draft will still be going on, which means we'll still be talking about that as it gets closer. Next thing I'm wondering, and no one has the answer to this, is typically the pre-draft visits are made public. So the Steelers would announce that they had X, Y, and Z player come in to meet with them. Are they still going to do that even though those pre-draft visits are done via Skype? I would be curious to see how they play that out. Typically, it's after free agency is when that starts. We have that month of April, that time frame. We'll see, and we'll let you know how that goes leading up to that.
Let me jump into something real quick. A comment by Youngboy24 who said we can get cornerback help, and that goes to our point, Jeff. Like, why would you not draft a really good corner if a really good corner that you had graded with the first round draft was available to you in the second round? I mean, you absolutely would take that player. Even if you have Justin Lane may not be ready. What if Hayden or Nelson got hurt and you got a first round talent at corner that you could cultivate? And speaking of first round corners, congratulations to Artie Burns for getting picked up by the Chicago Bears. I mean, Artie's a favorite.
Congratulations. I mean, I understand that he got
Artie's he's a fan of this show. So, I mean, big up to Artie. I'm glad that Artie, if you don't know Artie's story, Artie is, I think, a personal favorite of me and Jeff, regardless of his quality of football. I'm glad Artie got a deal. Would you imagine Artie has a job but Jameis Winston does not, and Cam Newton is about to not have a job either because Cam's going to get waived. Wow. That's all I can say is wow.
Well, I mean, Cam Newton, I don't think he could pass a physical. He had surgery on his foot in December. So I think a lot of teams are saying, we don't know what to do with this guy because it's not like we can fly him up and have our doctors look at him.
Yes.
That throws a wrench in things. And then Jameis, as intriguing as it is, I think that he's expecting way too much. That's the only reason, in my opinion, that he hasn't been signed yet, is that his agent saying we're expecting this dollar amount because he's a number 1 overall pick. Well, that's great, but you're a number 1 overall pick through 30 interceptions last year.
and he wants to start. And he wants to start. And Jameis is better probably still than about at least 10 to 12 starters. He threw a ton of interceptions, and I kind of talked about it I said it from a performance pay pedigree perspective. If you could convince Jameis Winston to take a 1-year prove it cheap deal, that would be fantastic for the Steelers, because one thing, and we're going to talk about a little bit later on this show, is there's still an issue at the quarterback position in that quarterback room.
Yeah. Yeah. The longer, and it's this way with any free agent, the longer they're on the market, their price goes down. That's just the way that it goes. And so every single day that Jameis Winston goes unsigned, he cannot request the same amount of money unless he's willing to say, I'm not going to play this year. Most players are not willing to do that. Jake Sanchez puts $5 in the tip jar. We appreciate that. He says, what is the running back depth in the second round? And should we, the Steelers, add another due to Connor's injury history? This, to me, is one of those questions that is very difficult to answer because there's a lot of unknowns when it comes to the running back position. We know that James Conner is unlikely to make it through a season healthy. We've talked about that before. We don't know what Kareth White Jr. can really do in a full season. Jalen Samuels, not sure what his role is going to be. If he has a role, he has to make the team. And then Benny Snell Jr. is still, in my opinion, is a question mark because he hasn't proven much as a rookie, and nor do you expect that. But Lance, if I got to be honest, if there's a running back there in the second round that I like, I'm taking him.
Absolutely. And by the way, what was his name again? Who gave us the live chat? Can you still have his comment?
Yes. Hold on, to the screen. Good to Jake Sanchez.
Jake, your logo is fire. I love that black and gold with the fighter jets. That is fire. That is the absolute winner in hot fire logos. What is it? Emoticon? I don't know what they're called. Just your graphic for your image. That's fire. But why would you not take the kid from Wisconsin or a J.K. Dobbins? Why would you not take a really good quality running back in the second round? I've been harping on, it's almost been like a 5-part series about just the importance of point differential, being explosive on offense, and trying to score 28 to 30 points per game and creating a point differential of close to 8 to 10 points. That you have to be in that realm, in that range, to be a Super Bowl contender. I mean, that's what it looks like. Super Bowl teams, they hammer people. They score a bunch of points and don't give up many, and they hammer people. And they have point per differential ratings of 8 to 10 points. I mean, the Ravens didn't win it last year, but you look at the eventual Super Bowl champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, I think theirs was close to 9 points. I mean, you have to score a bunch of points. And why wouldn't the Steelers get a quality running back to limit the throws of bionic Big Ben and possibly take some throws off of that beard and that bionic arm?
This comes back to the headline, and that is what the moves that they've made this week, how does it impact their approach? It's simple. They can look at it and say, man, J.K. Dobbins is there. We don't have that crap. We need to get a guard. We have a huge gaping hole at guard, or we have a huge gaping hole at tight end. They've answered those in some way, shape, or form during this past week. And so, like Big Rush says, he puts $1.99 in the tip jar. J.K. Dobbins would put us over the top. I'm fine. Hey, you know what? Cut any of those guys. Like if you get a legit superstar because let me see if I can find it here. Grayson Brown, he's a longtime listener. He says, we got Lev Bell in the second round too. Just saying. So there is talent to be had in the second round. You can find, and sometimes running backs get pushed back because a lot of people take away the importance of that due to receiver, quarterback, all the aerial attack that has become the NFL. So we'll see. We shall see.
And big up to young boy 24. He said Ben's stubborn self is still going to throw it a million times.
Well,
absolutely.
That's a good lead in to Bionic Big Ben. The news that happened this past week, I wrote the article for the website, but it was a scrape off of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Ron Cook, who interviewed Ben Roethlisberger. He is Ben's guy. You know, when Ben had a radio show, it was on the Cook and Pony show. And it's like he trusts Ron Cook. He's the only media member that he actually speaks to outside of Steelers.com. And boy, did he give us a lot of information. And Lance, what was the number one takeaway you had from that interview? I think I know where you're going to go with this, but I'll ask it anyways. What was the number one takeaway?
Number one is Ben Albert is not an appropriate name for Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, so you're going with the weight. You're going with the fat jokes.
He wanted to emphasize that he has been using JH21 products.
There you go.
That's the Jeff Hartman 21 products, the supplement pack and the online training workouts that Jeff has been sending Bionic Big Ben. He wanted to emphasize that he's in shape. But of course, the big news, more so that he's in shape, is that the beard is atrocious. No, it's not that the beard is atrocious. It's that he's throwing, and he's throwing a lot, and it appears that he's healthy. It appears that he's healthy, and it appears that Kevin Colbert, and he should know, and I'm sure everyone in the organization who was supposed to know, they knew that Ben was healthy, that Ben was tracking very well to be healthy. And it might be a blessing in disguise as well, as we continue to use words with B's, that he's not going to make all of those throws at camp and kind of do all that stuff and kind of overwork the arm potentially. But it looks like Ben is back. And Ben is actually healthy. And it also, I caught from the information that his arm had been hurting for a while, that he had some arm issues for a considerable amount of time. And probably that those days that he was taking off midweek consistently for the last couple of years was trying to preserve his arm. But like, Jeff, you weren't going to do an arm procedure until it snapped. I mean, you just can't go in there and do surgery. You've got to keep throwing that thing, and when it gives out, that's when you do it. But it looks like Ben is back and Ben is healthy. I just want the beard to go. That's about. I just want the Kiesel beard. I just can't take that beard. Anytime I look at Ben, and Ben tried to do kind of a service announcement around COVID-19, trying to encourage fans to stay safe, I just couldn't get past the beard. He was talking, but I was looking at the beard, and the beard was moving while it was just distracting. It was just really distracting.
I guess maybe it's the trainer in me. I found it super interesting when he gave specifics about his training regimen. And he talked about how his session is everything from throws from his knees, flat-footed throws, and that's all working on his mechanics. And like he said in the article, getting his spin back. And that's the velocity that he's going to need, to cut through the wind, to throw the ball accurately, to throw it deep. And so he's not throwing it deep yet, nor should he, nor does he have to. He's going to continue on his rehabilitation schedule. He said he's throwing about 20-yard passes. He's thrown a lot, but like he said, he doesn't have to. But Big Rush puts $1.99 in the tip jar and says Ben has to get back to play action football. And it's going to be interesting to see that you have to be able to run the ball to run play action. That's the thing. You have a situation where we have talked about this last season. You can run play action, but if there's no threat to run the ball, then it's not going to matter. You're not going to suck the defense in. So they have to develop a running game for that to work. And we've debated this a million times. Is Ben Roethlisberger going to humble himself to say that the running game's a priority?
No, he's not going to do that. And that's not a problem. And to Jeff's point, to just even put more specificity to it, is that you don't even have to run it well to run play action. You just have to run the ball. because linebackers have to honor their run fits. So if you just run the ball, you will get what play action. You will create that space, and linebackers will have to respect their run fits. I mean, there's a case, and if you don't believe what I'm saying, there's a case years ago when the Colts won a Super Bowl. They were terrible. They were absolutely terrible running football team. They just ran it enough to make you respect the run, and that you had to honor your fits to run play action. So, yes, I agree with Big Rush. Ben Roethlisberger is a fantastic play action quarterback. That is one of his biggest strengths. But as he's gotten older, he likes to really play out of the sidecar, get four outs, four guys in the pattern, and really have the field open and spread so he can make quick reads and get rid of the ball. So I hope they do go back to play action.
Let me ask you this next question, which keeps us on the offensive theme here, and that is, how do you see Eric Ebron's presence impacting the Steelers' offense in terms of two tight end sets, how often they might do that? And Ebron's not a blocker. So if he's on the field, is it going to kind of tip he's not going to be crashing down the line too many times, I wouldn't imagine.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, from a passing game perspective, you have two tight ends that can run the vertical seams, which lifts safeties and lifts secondary people and creates space underneath for wide receivers to work. I mean, I think it'll be ideal for Juju Smith-Schuster to run shallow crosses and run digs and work underneath against just work underneath and have all that room. I love being able to be versatile with two vertical tight ends. Your point in the running game is one that I mentioned on Friday. Vance and Enron are not good blockers. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they can run the counterplay. But even on the counterplay, I mean, you kind of just need to get in the way. You don't have to pancake a guy. You don't have to put syrup on his back. You can just seal the guy. And I think blocking is, a lot of it is mental. You have to have the mindset that you want to be a good blocker. And a lot of times blocking is technique and want to. And so, I'll take the fact that they have two vertical tight ends that with speed that can stretch in the seams. I think that works very well. And it gives Ben two big targets in the red zone. And so it also gives you easier throws too. Because I think Enron can beat any linebacker one-on-one. I just think it gives their offense a lot of versatility. I love that move.
I liked it too. The injury history of both Vance McDonald and Eric Ebron is concerning. Both have struggled to stay healthy throughout their careers, but when healthy, could be a very, very dynamic tight end duo. But I guess it comes down.
Jeff. Let me just say this, Jeff. Let me not interrupt you. Let me just say this. If you put two tight ends on the field, let's say you go 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends, which is a heavy set. If you put them on both opposite line of scrimmage, you put them on the left and the right. So essentially you create an extra gap in the run game as well. So you create a D gap on both sides of the ball. Also, you have to play heavy against that, right? Ideally, you would have to play heavy because you have two tight ends, and that's really a heavy personnel group. If you put linebackers or you keep your linebackers on the field, you have advantages with both tight ends. If you go light, they can actually be decent blockers because they can block secondary guys. So when you put two tight ends on the field, just think of the crazy guy up north, the crazy tight end up north, and Gronkowski. Just think of all of the problems that team up north created for teams when they put two dynamic tight ends on the field. It is a problem. It is a big problem to have to go up against two tight ends that can run and stretch the vertical seam. So I love it for the Steelers.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. If the Steelers want some type of prototype or some type of template to follow, my gosh, the Patriots ran two tight end sets and ran defenses into the ground. I mean, literally, they could run out of that. They could throw because they were athletic enough and could catch the ball. This Steelers offense could look markedly different, but it all depends on number 7.
Let me ask you one question, Jeff, before we jump into another point. If you go 12 personnel, who's the wide receiver you take off the field?
That was my next question for you too, actually, when I was thinking about it. I mean, right now you would keep Juju no matter what. And I got to think that you would not want to take the playmaking of Diontae Johnson off the field.
That's what I'm thinking. I think you take James Washington off the field.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of packages.
That's a good problem.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah. And speaking of Diontae Johnson, Boo Bash puts $5 in the tip jar. Says thoughts on Diontae Johnson and Antonio Brown's play date. Not sure if you heard about this, but
I did.
They had a little. They worked out together. A lot of people are, and this is Snowman also put $5 and said, "What do you think of Diontae Johnson training with Mr. Third and Fifth? Should Steeler fans be worried?" Lance, go ahead, talk about this.
Gummy Richards, Mr. Third and Fifth. Well, they should be worried if he is sharing Gummy Richards and they're eating gummy bears. Here's the one thing about Mr. Third and Fifth, Mr. Gummy Richards, that we can all agree on as Pittsburgh Steelers fans. He was a hell of a player, fantastic work ethic, and a technician on the field, route running second to none. If he can pass on the route running skill and the work ethic to Diontae Johnson without the other shenanigans, the Gummy Richards, the Mr. Third and Fifth, the baby mama drama, all that stuff, then I'm for it. Because, I mean, the guy worked hard. He was a fantastic player and a technician running his routes. So, I don't have any issue with it. I mean, I don't have any issue with it. I think, the precautionary tale is there about where he's at in his career. And if Diontae Johnson is an observant young man, he sees that. But I want the work ethic, how to set up guys. I mean, what AB can teach is valuable.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, Mike Tomlin, if there's one coach that we know has been proven to be able to handle these type of situations, it's Mike Tomlin. And he's handled Gummy Richards when he was in Pittsburgh throwing fits, and Mr. Third and Fifth, whatever you want to call him today. And I don't think that they have an issue with him training with Antonio Brown. Like you said, people forget. Yeah, he burned so many bridges leaving Pittsburgh. It's ridiculous. He was the best receiver in the game when he left Pittsburgh. The best. You can talk Julio Jones. Nah, Antonio Brown was better at everything, in my opinion. Julio Jones was just a physical freak. Antonio Brown was not that tall. So that's, well, we can debate that another time, but I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about Diontae Johnson working out with Antonio Brown. Now, if all of a sudden, they're palling around down in Miami together when they should be social distancing, that's a different story altogether. But if they're just working out, go work out. Go learn from the best. And I guarantee you that Antonio Brown will talk about moments where he worked out with players when he was an up-and-coming player, and he picked their brains, and he saw how they did things. Players help each other out all the time, especially in the NFL, maybe more so than any other league that I can think of. You see guys in the offseason training together, working out together, trying to get each other better. The only difference is that Antonio Brown left. How we all know how he left, and he's unemployed right now. That's the only difference.
Coat. He left in a fur coat, Mr. Huggy Bear. That could be another nickname, Mr. Huggy Bear. I'm more concerned that the electronic football man is still on the roster, Ryan Switzer. That was something that I noticed in that article as well.
Ben's been having some throwing sessions.
Ryan Switzer, boy. I mean, I wish I had a friend that could give me 825, 875K. If you want to sign up and be that friend to me on the live chat, I will take 875K. I've got a young student getting ready to go to college in the fall. Please be my friend and kick me 900K. And I'll catch footballs in the back with you and be the black electric football man.
Okay. Next topic before we answer some questions in the live chat. You had sent me a text. The signing of Tom Brady to Tampa Bay was finalized this past week. And you said, who are the favorites in the AFC? I said, well, that's a no-brainer. They're the Super Bowl champions. But if we're listing the 5 top teams in the AFC, assuming Roethlisberger's back healthy, are the Steelers in that group?
I don't think so.
So who would be your top 5? Kansas City 1.
Kansas City 1. Baltimore 2. I'm trying to think. I would say Indianapolis. You throw Phillip Rivers on Indianapolis.
Phillip Rivers sucks.
Yeah, I know he's good at having kids.
Oh yeah, he can't even have they can't even have family dinner. There's more than 10 kids. You can't have more than 10 people congregating.
Yeah,
So they have to practice. He probably has to kick a kid out of the house. All right, we're gonna eat dinner. You got to go outside.
Philip Jr. is in the garage eating. They have to do social distancing. So let's see. We got I'm gonna go. So we got Kansas City, Baltimore, Indianapolis. I'm gonna go to Buffalo Bills. I'm trying to think of a fifth.
Would you say Tennessee?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Tennessee as well with the return of Tannehill and Derrick Henry. So those will be my five. Those will be my five.
I think Pittsburgh's just as good as Tennessee if Ben's back. And the assumption is that Ben is back.
Yes, we just got to see. I'm laughing at young wood burning defending Ryan Switzer, talking about how he'll defend his attitude and ethics. Well, ethics don't get open. That's the only thing I can say. If ethics could get you open and being a good guy gets you open in one-on-one coverage, great. If they gave you yards after catch, fantastic. But the last time I checked, ethics don't do either of those things.
We've got some people chiming in on their top five. Ryan Kellerman says Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Titans, Steelers, Colts.
Okay. That's six.
I could get behind that. That's six. So Ezra, he says Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens. He puts the Steelers over the Ravens. I love it. Colts, Patriots, Bills, and Titans. The Bills are better. I will say that. The Bills are better. It's hysterical that no one has the Patriots anywhere on their list. And I love it. They're going to have to make a move. I've heard rumors that they're interested in trading for Andy Dalton. And all I keep saying is, please. Yes. Please
trade.
Andy was
a free agent. He's not a free agent.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he is a free agent. I could be wrong. Okay. If you're in the live chat and I'm wrong, let me know. But so Kevin DeBoss says Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers, Bills, Titans, Colts. We're all kind of around the same teams. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But
and of those six, the ones that you just listed, one thing is they all have good quarterbacks, except for Josh Allen. I think if Josh Allen were better, the Bills would be dangerous because with the addition of Diggs and the fact that they had, I think, a top 3 defense last year, along with the Steelers and the Patriots, Buffalo would be deadly. But there's no magic up in that team up north, the Pats, if they don't have a quarterback. There's no magic, and Brady's going to get killed in Tampa Bay. Aaron's is going to get that old man stretched out.
Well, yeah, he will. But let me ask you this. So you talk about the Steelers. If Ben's healthy and he's ready to go, okay, let's talk about these front runners for a second. Can the Steelers, with that defense, with Ben Roethlisberger at the helm, and the acquisitions that they've made already that we know, could they beat the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, they could have beat the Ravens last year.
Exactly.
They could have beat the Ravens last year with a backup. They had the Ravens beat.
I know.
Had Juju not fumbled.
Yeah. Could they beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
No.
I disagree. They could. I think they could.
Maybe on Mars, but definitely not in Kansas City.
Oh my gosh. You make the Chiefs sound like they're unbeatable. Get out of here.
They're not unbeatable, but that team is pretty P. Mahomes is ridiculous.
Pittsburgh's defense is a different beast, man.
No, but when you play Kansas City, it's not about stopping Kansas City. It's about scoring points. Can you score 30 plus against Kansas City? I think that's how you beat Kansas City. You beat them 31-28. That's stopping Kansas City. Good luck.
Well, yeah, you can stop Kansas City. You just have to play a good game. It reminds me of the same theories that people said when they used to play Peyton Manning and the Colts. When that offense was clicking on all cylinders, you just got to slow them down. You got to keep them off the field. I think that with Ben, let's get back to points scored. With Roethlisberger at the helm, we've talked about this before. I said that's a 7-point boost in points per game.
Put them at 25? That'll put them at 25? Because I think they averaged like 18.9, 18.
They did something 19. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, get that. If they can get that
to 25, you get to 25 to 28. I feel like you're in every game.
Yeah, you're definitely in games. Kansas City is just a different animal. But on any given day, you can beat anybody. So I'll agree with you there, Jeff. But Kansas City is a definitely a different animal. And I'm looking on over to cap.com, seeing if Andy Dalton is listed. I think Andy Dalton.
He's not a free agent. Someone in the live chat said that
great. Okay.
He would have to be traded.
That's an interesting trade. I mean, that is desperation. If you trade for Andy Dalton, I mean, wow.
I'm telling you,
just rebuild.
Belichick is planning something, whether it's to get a guy like Cam Newton, whether it's to get Jameis Winston on the cheap, whether it is Andy Dalton, or whether it's to draft a quarterback this year and start over. I don't know. He's planning something. They're not going to go into the season with the guy that they have. I don't even know his name, the backup that they have behind Brady. So
he's planning to stink. They're going to stink.
Well, like I told, welcome to 8-8.
Yeah, they're going to stink. And the guy in the live chat is absolutely right. Andy Dalton is in his last year, and he counts 17.5 against the cap, or 17.7 against the cap. Woo. And he has a workout bonus of $200,000. But when it comes to quarterbacks, I mean, he's like $9 million under the franchise tag for a quarterback. So he's actually cheap. So it makes perfect sense if you're going to trade for Dalton on a 1 year, get Stidham ready, have Andy Dalton play the 1 year. He's off your books. But I don't think the Patriots have the space to bring Andy Dalton in. According to overthecap.com, I don't think they have $17 million free to do that. So, but who cares what
this makes me so happy. I care. I hate them. I can't stand them.
Yeah, I do. I hate them. Yes. Yes, I do. They only have $4.6 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap, as of today, and that could be fluid.
What does Over the Cap have for Steelers in terms of cap space remaining? And while you're looking that up, Braden Miller, I agree with you 100%. He said all this AFC talk, and I'm fired up for the season. Pretty soon we'll get that schedule. We'll be able to diagnose that schedule, and it's all downhill from there. What do you have, Lance?
They got the Steelers at $10.2 million available. The highest cap number is Ben Roethlisberger at 23.7, followed by Bud Dupree.
Do they have the acquisitions on there?
Yeah, they do. They have two of that. Who are you looking for? I can look.
I know. I'm saying, like, do they have the Wisniewski, Ebron, Watt, Wormley? Are they all on there?
Let's see. Well, you asked me to do a lot at once. I can't multitask.
Well, here we go. Let's hear. Paul Bullock puts $4.99 in the tip jar. He says, I feel like the Patriots are just going to get Justin Herbert. Like I said, I feel like they're going to make a move somewhere.
Read over Wiz, correct?
Wisniew. Wisniewski.
Yes, they have Wisniewski there. They have Wisniewski, and Wisniewski counts 1.27 on the cap. They have Derek Watt. He counts 2.08 million. Yes, it looks like they don't have Ebron on here.
Ebron.
They don't have Ebron.
Enron,
excuse me. Ebron, Enron, Eron.
Dave Schofield says they don't have Ebron or Wormley on the books. But before that, Reed Overhand says 10.2 is what they were showing before the Ebron and Wormley's. Ebron's going to take about 6 off of that. Wormley's going to take another 2. That's cutting into. You're only going to have like 2 million at that time.
Well, it'll depend on how they structure the Enron contract. It'll depend on how they structure. So we'll have to just wait.
Yeah. Well, not only the Ebron contract, but also I wouldn't be surprised if they give Wormley a new deal that cuts his. If they like him enough to trade for him, I wouldn't be shocked because his cap hits over 2 million. I wouldn't be shocked if they say, "Hey, we're going to give you a 2-year contract. We're going to redo your deal, lessen that cap hit." That's if they want to make another move. We'll see. Jobman wants to know why you can't pronounce Ebron's name.
Jobman, I'd rather say Enron, and I'm bad with names. Stop it. Leave me alone.
If you've been listening to The Standard as a Standard since back when it was the only show that we did, Lance has butchered names for long before Eric Ebron became a Pittsburgh Steeler.
So it's long E.
Ebron.
Oh, okay, I got it. Like it's E and LeBron. So Ebron. There we go.
Yes, there you go.
Enron.
It's called Bron.
Bron E. I can go Bron E. I can go reverse Bron E. There you
Thaddeus,
go.
Thaddeus asked a good question. He says, so do you think the Steelers will still give Cam Hayward a new deal? I think that's emphatically yes, I do.
Yes. I think Cam Hayward is a guy on the defensive side of the football that is as loved as Ben Roethlisberger is on the offensive side of football. I think Cam has earned that. Cam has done everything right in the community. He's a good guy. He's a great player. Yes. Yeah, I think Cam has earned that respect from the organization. And RIP to Ironhead. Great guy.
Yeah. All right. So with that said, I think it's been a good show. We're about the 45-minute mark. And so I just want to remind everyone that you can help the show in a variety of ways. A lot of you donated to the Super Chat Fund, we'll call it that, the tip jar today, which was awesome. We really appreciate you all spending your hard-earned money and helping us upgrade the show in some way, shape, or form. So we thank you for that. Obviously, we also like the videos. Okay, we had almost 100 people in here on a Sunday during quarantine time watching us talk about the Steelers. Just like the videos, comment on the videos, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah,
we're almost at 5,250. We're close. I'd love to get to 6,000 before the training camp starts. If we get to 6,000 then maybe 7,000 by the time the season rolls around. The regular season would be awesome. Share it with friends. Yeah. We all know that you have Facebook groups that are Steeler Facebook groups, or maybe you have Instagram friends. Take the video link, share it. It's the best way to spread the word. So Lance, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm turning 50 in June. So give me a great birthday present by getting us to 6,000. I'm turning 50. Man, I've been doing Steeler podcasts since 2005. This is like 15 years. So I'm celebrating 15 years of podcasting for the Steelers. I'm turning 50. Man, celebrate with me and let's get to 6,000. Let's do that. We can do this. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm going to assume that everybody's listening to the program is subscribed. If you're not, man, hit that right now. Hit that like. I want it to be 1 for 1. So if we get 100 people in the live chat, I want 100 likes. Amen. So make sure you support the show and stay safe.
Absolutely. Why don't you send us out, Lance?
And as always, good Steeler fans, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe.
Everyone stay safe out there. Be smart, be kind, and most importantly, be patient, man. Be patient. Calm down. We'll see you next time on another episode of the Homer and the Hater Show.